All right, three, two, one.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome. Occupy Fantasy live stream here on YouTube. I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy. Moose, what you got going on over there?
Yeah, I mean, we got a KBO stream, get KBO games in a couple days, so I figured, why not rep the dinos? I didn't spend all like half my money, my bankroll on this outfit shipped from South Korea to not wear it whenever I get the chance. So maybe we'll sneak in some KBO references, some KBO after dark during this stream, but I guess it is for MLB. I got overruled. We got to do an MLB stream for opening day. So, Brian, it's MLB opening day.
It is, yeah. For those of you who've been with us for a while, you remember the long nights of KBO. But yeah, we're back with a real MLB DFS slate. Spring training is done. The real thing is here. The model's up. The lineup builder's up. The daily plug is published. All the good stuff you know from Occupy Fantasy is here. And I know a lot of people have tickets today to a variety of contests, so super excited to jump into it, Moose.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're here, if you want to go ahead and say hello, definitely go ahead and do that. If you want to comment on my Dino's outfit, you can do that as well. Or if you just want to jump in and say hi, again, the chat is there as well. What's up,
I'm
T
curious.
Nasty?
I'm curious to see how long you survive in the hat, Moose. Normally, it's heat exhaustion that's going to get you out of the hat at some point during the show.
All right, here's the thing. I got the window open here to my left, so we're good on that. The only thing is you can't wear anything here. So like I got headphones on, my ears are just in throbbing pain from this. Glasses too. I don't know. All I gotta know is when I make it to South Korea, I don't know how people are gonna react when I wear this in the streets. So it's gonna be
get
rough.
ar- get arrested or just high fived every time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So let's jump into it real quick. We have the daily plug. Again, if you have questions, that's how it'll go ahead and that's how we'll kind of direct this. So if you have questions, definitely go ahead and ask. But Brian, I'll just kick it off to you. I know a lot of people have tickets. We want to talk about stacking. So if you just want to take a minute or so, kind of talk about what type of stacks should our members and I guess non-members as well should be playing in these high risk tournaments they have tickets for.
Yeah, absolutely. So good start, Moose. So for those of you who have tickets, we have the MLB Opening Day contest over on FanDuel. We have the $15 contest on DraftKings, and I encourage everyone to go to the DFS Magic tutorial page and read and watch the tutorial there too. Even if you don't use our lineup builder, some strategies were discussed there. Encourage everyone to read the free strategy guide on OccupyFantasy.com for MLB. Again, we still have an hour before FanDuel lock, 2 hours before DraftKings lock, so still plenty of time to digest all that information. But if you have tickets or you're not listening to our advice and you're still playing the big GPPs anyways, you want to maximally correlate your lineups outside of one hitter. So we found in the biggest GPPs, FanDuel and DraftKings, you want to stack as much as you can, plus have a one-off hitter. So for FanDuel, you can stack 4 guys from one team, 4 from another. On DraftKings, you can stack 5 guys from one team, 3 from another. So in these largest contests, Moose, you want to have 4 hitters from one team on FanDuel, 3 from another, and then 1 hitter with high isolated power or high upside as your one lone hitter. On DraftKings, 5 hitters from one team, 2 from another, and then a single one off from another team. If you're playing smaller contests though, Moose, 100-player leagues, smaller satellites, smaller multipliers, just fully stacked. You don't have to get as much right there. So 4-4 stack on FanDuel, 5-3 stack on DraftKings.
And it's a little bit different than hockey, where we tell everyone to maximum stack every single chance you get. Because in baseball, there is that ability to score points without the assist of a teammate. You can get a solo home run, get your 14, 17 points, whatever it is, and you're good there. But you still, so that's why you can always use that one off in those super high risk contests. Um, and speaking of stacks, I'm just going to go ahead and scroll down here on the daily plug, which you can check out at occupyfantasy.com about what some of the top stacks are today. And we're going to scroll down. Dodgers. And I mean, that kind of makes no, I mean, that makes perfect sense. Dodgers are always a stack team. They are top 10 and they're number one ISO in OF index and implied team total, top 10 in ISO and WOBA. So I think the Dodgers is going to be very popular. They're going to be one of the most, at least one of my high used stacks. I don't know about you, Brian.
Yeah, I think you have to, right? Their team total 7.3 runs. They're playing in Coors Field. We know Coors Field is just multiplies production because of the atmosphere there. And Moose, maybe if you can go to the weather dashboard
Yeah,
of the occupy model, just because we see this especially early on in the season. Once we get later in the summer months, the weather isn't that drastically different from stadium to stadium. Most teams are playing to 80, 90-degree temperatures. But today, April 1st, we have nearly every game playing temperatures in the 30s and 40s moves, and then we have a game in Miami, and then we have a game at Coors Field, which those two game environments are just much better hitting weather overall, like by a wide distance over any other team on the slate.
Yeah, you're definitely right on that. I have the weather dashboard up here. Colorado has a 10% boost to right-handed and left-handed batters. Talked about Miami that has a 5% positive boost for both right-handed and left-handed batters. But after that, there is not a single other game that has a positive weather boost. I mean, all the way down to the Cubs, which has minus 17 and minus 16 for right-handed and left-handed batters, respectively. Yeah, that's not good.
It feels like we talk about this every start to the season, right? Most it's like why they keep scheduling these games outdoors in the cold in the north at the beginning of the season. It makes no sense. We got games in Detroit and Cincinnati and Chicago and New York, and I guarantee, like obviously you can't avoid all these games, but the way they do it is kind of crazy. So just thinking of this slate from a high level, right? Really, you're only going to get the only way to get weather leverage, quote unquote, is by playing teams from the Dodgers in Colorado or Tampa Bay, Miami. But unfortunately, Colorado already has a high game total, and people are going to look to that game anyways.
Yeah.
Um, so for me, you can. Here's a couple ways you could do it. You could look to some of these games in the 5 to -5% range, or because the entire slate is just filled with bad weather, maybe it's, and we do have some high ranking batters in the model that are in bad weather games. There's not as big of an edge. If you choose to fade Colorado, just hope that the game doesn't go as high scoring as possible. At the beginning of the year, anything can happen. And just hope that it's a low scoring slate overall. And again, just because it's -15%, right? Just because it's 30-degree weather doesn't mean players can't hit home runs. It's just a little bit less likely.
Yeah, I mean, especially, but even though I mean, you got 15 miles an hour in from Coors Field, I think that total is like 6 with some juice on the over. But
Oh, in
yeah,
Chicago, the Cubs.
yeah, and the Cubs, yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say the only saving grace I think for Colorado is it opened up at 11 and a half, is down to basically 11, and at a lot of sports books. So some money coming in on the under. But again, it doesn't matter if it's 4 runs higher than the next game. I mean, that's definitely something that you want to target there.
Yeah, and Moose, as Joe says in the chat, what's up, Joe? He's in Detroit. He said it's snowing, it's freezing cold. I can't believe they're going to play baseball today. And yeah, uh, 30-degree temperatures. The air density index is 70, highest on the slate. Very thick air, hard to hit the ball. 13% weather decrease for batters, Moose. So very tough.
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely rough. But yeah, so just really quick, I do want to point out about the weather dashboard. This is 100% free, behind no paywall whatsoever. Go to occupyfantasy.com. You know, for the Occupy model, click on MLB. You'll get redirected to the batters, which is behind a paywall. But then you can just click on weather, and the entire weather dashboard is here. I do just want to point to you really quick, Brian. I know the Boston game's already postponed. Washington game's postponed as well. But like this Yankees game, Miami game that has an 80% and a 33% chance of precipitation. What's your outlook on those two games? I know that the Yankees game isn't on DraftKings, but is that something? I know 80% chance of rain is definitely high, but what's your thoughts on those two games?
Yeah, as always, we love using free resources. Kevin Roth over at Rotor Grinders writes up weather reports every single day. And he said it should be dry by first pitch. So maybe a slight delay early, but we should be fine if you're playing that slate on FanDuel. And then the Miami game obviously is just it's Florida. There may be some sprinkles from here and there in the afternoon, but other than that, I'm not really avoiding any game from a precipitation postponement standpoint.
Hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah, shot down in flames. Two games already canceled today. Yep. So the Boston game and the Washington game is postponed. So let's go back to the stacks, Brian. And I just want to point out the other stacks that we have here in the plug. Uh, Padres, Rockies, and for FanDuel only, the Cleveland Indians. I know we talked about Rockies, Coors Field already. But do you have any insight on the Padres or the Indians?
Yeah, I think the Padres are going to be a team that we like to stack a lot this year. They loaded up the last couple of years. Uh, some really high ranking batters: Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, Will Myers, Tommy Pham. Bunch of these guys. Team total of 5.8. They rank in the top 6 of all of our metrics. So, and I think the biggest thing, Moose, and maybe if we go to the stack dashboard, we can show this. I think I always like to look at when playing MLB DFS is seeing what the betting markets are telling us and which team totals are moving up and down. And we see the Padres have a team total that's risen by nearly a half a run since lines open, which just gives us even more confidence in that stack.
Yeah, I went over and switched to the stacks dashboard. Padres second highest team total, plus a half team total, plus a half run team total move, and they're also getting a reverse line movement check. Uh, that's solid. I do just want to point out, Brian, one of the things I do in the stack dashboard is, I'll just sort the filters. Who's going to be in the top 10 of all these different things? Again, I do play not high risk, but I do play some of those medium risk, mainly more lower risk with baseball. And I mean, even the Padres, right there, check that box, top 6 in every category and get in team total move. The only 6 teams that fit this criteria, Padres is the only one with a positive team total move.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta love it, and they're a great pivot off the higher owned Dodgers stack that people are going to play, and just in general, just a great stack to play today.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll be here for about another 15 minutes or so. I'm praying I can keep this helmet on because it's starting to get a little hot in here. So, but if you have questions, definitely go ahead and ask. I'm curious for the people in the chat that have tickets. One, how many tickets do you all have for the opening days contest today? And two, what's going to be your most exposed stack? I'm really curious to hear that.
Yeah, let us know. And speaking of stacks, most Cleveland, if you're playing the FanDuel slate, they're our number 3 overall stack, team total of about 4.5 runs. Now, again, this goes to show, right? The model takes everything into account. They have some pretty shitty weather they have to play through, but even with that, we still like them as our number 3 overall stack today. So if you're playing on FanDuel, I know a lot of the Cleveland hitters rank in the top 10, top 15 of the model. Again, it's bad weather, but there's a lot of bad weather everywhere today. So don't let that deter you from playing a stack like Cleveland.
Yeah, we talked about this. I don't know when, but I think I made a point several months ago. It's like if every single game on the slate is shitty in terms of weather, then every single game is normal.
Right?
So
Yeah,
then yeah,
exactly. It's
it's
all
fine.
relative.
Yeah, absolutely. Timothy says he has 5 on FanDuel. That's awesome, Timothy. And Jake Reedy says he has 50 tickets and it looks like it's gonna be the Padres' most exposed stack. So let's go Padres.
Love that. Good work,
Yep.
Jake. Good work, Timothy, getting those tickets. Remember, FanDuel does basically give these tickets away for some of these bigger contests. So if you're not a part of the satellite strategy that we outline in the Ultimate Guide, make sure you check it out and make sure to target those satellites. A lot of times, most they're just giving them away.
Yeah, and again, I'll just plug the how amazing our NBA writer Boyle is. It was the satellite strategy for last year in 2020. If he didn't play the satellite strategy and just played the contest he played, he would have won about $1,800 profit. However, with the satellite strategy, that because its entries are a lot less cheaper, he ended up winning about $6,900, which is actually nice in multiple senses.
Yeah. It goes to show how important the satellite strategy is to increasing your bankroll in DFS.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're not playing or you're playing just a little bit, one of the things I always do for every single slate that I have the ability to check. I mean, obviously we have things to do, but just check. For the opening day, the all day express late after hours on FanDuel, just go there and sort on, set so satellites and qualifiers only, and just sort by the number of entrants and look for what is there. I mean, there's a $1 ticket here for the NBA Epic Monster on 4-4. One ticket out of only 223 of 522 entrances are there. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and,
great.
that's a very high risk one, but there are other ones, even most that they basically give away tickets. But yeah, the point remains, just literally take 30 seconds to look through the lobby and see what's available.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking here for the 20 or so people that are here. Uh, FanDuel's the satellite to the Supreme Squeeze on May 14th. Top 100 get tickets. Only 190 of 470 are in right now. So there will definitely be more throughout the thing, but there's going to be overlay. It's going to be basically a double up for those tickets.
Go
But the
grab them,
actual
guys.
ticket value is 4x your entry fee.
Yep, go grab them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how do you want to take this next, Brian? Do you want to what do you
Yeah,
want
we
to
can
do?
talk about some of the pitchers on the
Mhm.
slate that from the plug.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So going back to the plug, scrolling up, oh, scrolling down. Sorry. Uh, some of the top pitchers on FanDuel only: Cole, Bieber, and then for both slates, Tyler Glasnow, Flaherty, and Maeda. Brian, my biggest question for you is, I mean, it's how do you decide which pitcher to pick on FanDuel and DraftKings because the layout is so different?
Yeah, so one, it's kind of unfortunate because the top two pitchers in our model today aren't on the DraftKings slate. They're just on FanDuel. It's Garrett Cole and Shane Bieber. And if you're playing FanDuel, just go play those guys. They're two of the best options. So remember, so strikeouts are still important on both sites. Um, it's just that FanDuel, no negative points for walks or hits allowed. The win bonus and quality star bonus is worth much more compared to a strikeout than it is, relatively speaking, on DraftKings. So DraftKings, we're looking for a much more skilled outing. Granted, the Occupy model does take this into account. The OF Index moves, I would probably say, is a little geared more towards DraftKings as far as skilled outings go. So for me, if I'm playing on FanDuel, I'm looking for guys with high OF Index, high strikeout potential, and ideally a high money line. But it's similar to NHL DFS moves, where on goalies, the pitchers get lower ownership that are coin flips or underdogs when they can
Hmm.
still win. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't, in high risk contests, I wouldn't let that affect me, but in low risk contests, definitely gravitate towards the guys that have a higher chance of winning.
absolutely. Yeah. What's up, Carl? Says, what is this kid wearing? Yeah, this is if you play KBO or follow KBO, this is the NC Dinos, and I spent way too much money on this outfit not to wear it whenever I get the chance. Um, Timothy says, I randomly found the 10-cent single entry last night satellite for this MLB slate. Did not even fill it all and gave away 3K. That's awesome.
Yeah, last night that they had that one contest that they were. It was literally just you line up and we'll give you tickets for today's slate. So good job finding that.
Definitely, definitely. Cody said, is it a glitch in the model? I'm not sure what you mean by there, Cody. If you could clarify. Um, but yeah, and then real quick, Brian, let's just talk about the badges. I know that there's a badge guide here, but in case so you don't want to have the time to read or you just want to take a look. Uh, for example, Glasnow is a superstar and he has strikeout potential. So these badges, if you don't want to read the paragraphs, you can just click the badge guide and see what all the different badges mean.
Yeah, so just what it does, it gives you a quick context to each play. Whether they're a value or a star, strikeout potential, money line, move it in their favor, whatever it may be. A cake matchup, good ballpark, good weather. That's what you get with those badges. And again, it's just another way to provide the information for each top play. Now, Glasnow, Flaherty, Maeda, these are the top three plays for DraftKings slate today. And I'm looking at Glasnow in particular is expected to be the most popular DraftKings play on the entire slate. Our projected ownership in the model moves has him at 32% overall, and rightfully so. He is the top play in the model.
Yeah.
I guess if you're looking for a reason to fade him, it's kind of scary. His projected strikeouts are the highest on the slate, but the money line and team total is moving against him a little bit. So if you're looking for some reason to fade him, I guess that would be the reason. But he definitely looks like a top overall play.
Yeah, the biggest thing I go for when it comes to pitchers is that strikeouts per inning pitch. We want to look for someone that has above one. Uh, and I mean, like almost every like half the pitchers have fit that right now. Um, yeah, but I mean, with him at what is it 1.39 projected strikeouts per inning pitch, it's tough to fade that. It really is.
It is. The nice thing is it is opening day, so we get better pitchers than we normally would, right? There's some slates when we get fourth and fifth starters, we're looking at like two guys on the entire slate that have a good strikeout projection. So there is on a slate like this a little more ability to fade someone like that. But again, and I think this is a big overarching theme boost in MLB DFS. If you stack properly,
Mhm.
your ownership in the end doesn't really end up mattering because most people don't stack enough.
Yeah, you're 100% right there. Speaking of stacking, Carl has a question that makes me happy. Is it bad to play the batter nine, batter one together? No, I absolutely that I've always had fantastic success with the wraparound stacks. Give me an 8-9-1-2, 9-1-2. I may use it more often than I'm supposed to, but Brian, it's
Like I
still
said,
a valid stack.
that was the alley-oop question to you, Moose, because for those of you who haven't been around, Moose always talks about the wraparound stacks here during these live streams for MLB and KBO, especially KBO.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's what you want. You want the correlation, as long as hitters are hitting next to each other. And the nice thing about the wraparound stack, Moose, we know ownership is driven by batting order, and guys at the top of the order will be way higher owned than guys at the lower end of the batting order. So for high risk contests, it's a great move to pivot away, especially from some of the higher owned stacks like the Dodgers and Colorado and the Padres today, who should be popular. You can easily save some salary and save some ownership just by dropping down the order a little bit.
And the thing I like to compare it to is when we talked about it the other night on NHL is it's not playing the most expensive even strength line one. Maybe switch over to line two, maybe line three if you're risky, but don't play the 1, 2, 3, 4 hitters. Maybe play 8, 9, 1, 2, 8, 9, 1, 3, something like that to cut down on the salary, the ownership, and still get that high upside.
Especially in like course field slates.
Yeah.
That's a pretty common tactic, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's nice about the builder. The builder allows for that type of feature. So if you have your max gap, it does count wraparound stacks as a ballot stack, which made me happy.
Yeah, Jack put that in just for you, Moose.
I'm the only person who'll ever use it. But yeah, so yeah, no problem, Carl. Glad you're asking questions. Here for 7 more minutes, so keep the questions coming. Let's just look at some of the one-off batters, and we'll scroll up here and for some of the value bats. Brian, for DraftKings, I guess for FanDuel too, for your one-offs, do you kind of normally try and fit in a stud, a value, or is it kind of really how your lineup just kind of holds out?
Yeah, it depends on how the lineup is built. But for me, mostly, I'm just looking for guys that have upside. I'm not looking for a guy that has to get a bunch of hits, get some RBIs, be on base. What I'm looking for guys that can either steal bases or hit home runs. Um, Guys that can hit value without their teammates doing anything, which is what we want from a one-off. Because if the rest of their teammates do really well, then that stack ends up overtaking us. So guys like Lublau for Cleveland, Marte Walker. I mean, all these guys are great play. Duvall, especially, is a guy that would be a great one-off because he's a power hitter. Same with all these guys that we list here. But for me, if we're looking for that final one-off batter in our super high-risk lineups, I'm playing guys that have either high ISO or just high overall OF index in the model.
Yep, absolutely there. Um, Cody, what's your take on Castillo today?
Yeah, so I like him a lot. In fact, his OF index isn't too high. I guess against the Cardinals, then maybe that's why. But you look here, 21% ownership DraftKings, 17% on FanDuel. That's fine. The nice things I like, the money line's moving in his favor, 5 cents from -113 to -118. It's a slight move, but it's good. The Cardinals team total has dropped 0.31 runs, which is like the fourth or fifth highest drop on the main slate. He's got the strikeout projection above 1, which we always like, and 14% weather boost in that Cardinals and Reds game. So yeah, I like Castillo a lot, both sites.
Nice, awesome. And then I guess we can transition. David says, "Was your favorite batter today?" You want to answer that, or we can talk about. I was going to say we like to do our dawn calls of the night. If you want to talk about that too.
Yeah, I think we got to go with Manny Machado. He's top of
Yeah.
the model. I talked about in the tutorial this morning. Any OF index over 10 is considered elite in our model. And Manny's one of 4 guys over 10 today. He's at 11.8. He's 1.7 points higher than any other batter. Playing in a game that we talked about that doesn't have a big weather decrease. So yeah, Manny Machado, team total up half a run. Slate high. I don't know if it's slate high, second highest on the slate ISO, 445. So yeah, give me Manny Machado as our favorite play.
I was going to say pretty much the same thing. Um, Timothy said, "What's your thought? Any thoughts on the Royal stack today?"
Great question, Timothy, because I built my 150 for DraftKings using our lineup builder right before this, and actually got a decent amount of Kansas City in my lineups. I'm looking here, about 9 or 10% of my lineups have Kansas City, and it's because they're so affordable. So I actually like using them as as a secondary stack to some of those expensive ones. Say you stack San Diego, you stack the Dodgers, whoever else it may be. I like fitting in some of those Kansas City power bats to supplement it because they are super cheap.
Yep, absolutely. Padres, is Randy going to keep up that hot bat this year? Um, I
Dude,
will say,
he hit
but
like 1,000 home runs in the postseason.
yeah, it's nuts. I do just want to point out that the two things you see in the model for batters and hitters is exit velocity and hit distance. Uh, the first 14 days of the season, that's for all of 2020, so all of last year, that's what those rankings are. But starting in 14 days, it will start being on a 2 week rolling average. And it is a fantastic resource to use to find those hidden gems of people who may be hitting the ball very well, but you're not getting the stats to show it. Think of it
Yeah,
as an underperforming wide receiver in baseball and NFL.
exactly. That's exactly right, Moose. If you're looking for to find guys that are quote unquote hot, if you just look at game logs in a game with so much variance to baseball, you're going to be driven the wrong way. Underlying metrics like StatCast are huge. Weighted on base average, expected weighted on base average. You can go to the StatCast leaderboard, just Google StatCast, or you can just look at the two most predictive metrics: exit velocity and distance. Find guys who have hit the ball hard and far lately. Eventually, the fantasy points are going to come. So we love using those columns in the model, Moose.
Yep, absolutely. Can't beat it. So, Brian, I'll kick it to you one last time. Do you have any last lingering thoughts or anything else that you want to add?
I'll just say if you're watching this, we appreciate it. Long season ahead of us. We're excited about it. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Just click subscribe below. Give us a thumbs up. If you want to chat with us in Discord or get access to the emotes during the live stream, click the join button right below the video. $2.99 a month to get you access to our Discord channel, chat with staff and other Occupy Fantasy members. It's another way to support the channel, so we always appreciate that. And again, most just stack as much as you can. Follow the rules and the plays in the daily plug, and then check out the lineup builder. I'm super excited to use it. I think it's the most customizable uh, and puts the least amount of burden on the user than any other lineup builder in the industry, and that's a good thing.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. The one thing I love is when you get an error, it'll tell you why it errored out and give you hints on how to make it so that doesn't happen again, which is also another fantastic resource. Um, but yeah, so that'll pretty much wrap it up. Again, we're occupyfantasy.com. Check out the daily plug, Occupy Model, Lineup Builder, all available at occupyfantasy.com. Available on Twitter, all that good stuff at Occupy Fantasy. I'm Moose, your Brian. Thank you all for joining tonight. Until next time, have a good night.